So, as we're exploring the Jasper world, we meet up with Heather once again. She wants us to take on Team Meteor with her without her father's consent. If you guys don't remember, it's the purple haired guy whose name is Corey, I believe. She goes into the forest and we follow suit. We have to do some forest puzzles, but before that, we find out that Team Meteor is indeed in the premises, so we decide to take them down. There's also the police officers that we need to save, so we have to keep that in mind. We decide to infiltrate this gym structure, which was abandoned by the previous gym leader, I believe. And then we decide that we have to go on top of the building somehow. So we climb the little vine things and then we enter the building right top. Before we do that, we find an egg in the forest which hatched into a Skidoo, a grass type, so we added that into our team. Pretty sure we named it, I can't remember what we named it. But anyway, we went to the top of the building, we entered it and then fall down that massive hole. After we fell down, we met Team Meteor who had the Pulse Tangrowth right there. Pretty spooky stuff. The guy manning it was the name Taka, who is a Team Meteor commander. She decides to deal with the Team Meteor grunts, Heather that is, and we decide to battle Taka. He sends us to execute first, but we beat it with our combustion. The Pulse Tangrowth is taken down with poison stalling, and with that we beat Taka. The girl was indeed wearing a ruby ring, which is in this game is a really important artifact, I believe. We exit before the building collapses and Team Meteor escapes. Unfortunately for Heather though, her father does pick on what she's doing and arrives there and tells Heather that he's really been worried. He then takes Heather away, and also we realize that her mother has died because of the stupid ruby ring. So the ruby ring does have some side of significance in the story which we have to remember for now. Other than that, Corey is then taken, or Heather is then taken by Corey back to his home or his gym, which we're gonna visit later. We also are told by Corey that we should never talk to her daughter ever again, and non-negotiable, etc. Am I clearly understood, he says, and I just says yet to go along. We decide to explore the forest a little bit more, trying to find the police officers, but we find out that Team Meteor is involved in this place once again. While exploring the jungle, we get held captive in this fence-looking thing by Nuzleaves, and Fern finds us. He decides to help us by if we get on our knees, but we obviously say no because we have some dignity. He leaves us, and after a little bit of walking around, a Chatot comes out and releases us by saying release Sanjay. It acts like a parrot. We also find Kane somehow also stuck in the same jail of a fence that this place is. So we save Kane, and then we also want to go and conquer Team Meteor because we realize that they're in this place, so we want to stop them and get rid of another Pulse Tangrowth. We meet up with Heather, who helps us to escape from the barricade that this place has right on the right of the screen. As you can see, Heather and Kane are now helping us out, and we get the barricade to go down. While trying to get to Team Meteor, we have a little cutscene from the main commanders of Team Meteor. They have told their plans, while this green-haired lady I think spots us. Before we get to that, we find one of the police officers has been killed or has died because he dropped down. We indeed save the Growlithe and usher it back to the police station, but this is still very eerie. We finally get to Team Meteor, deal with them, and we have a bunch of commanders. We also have a bunch of our friends dealing with the grunts, as we have to take on Ace of Clubs, which is his name. Heather takes on the question mark lady. We defeat the Ace of Clubs guy. Heather gets pushed off by Lynn, and Corey comes to help. Corey is then revealed as Corey because he was wearing a hood, so we didn't know who he was. We decide to do some shady business. We get a Growlithe egg, which we breeded from the Growlithe that we saw in the abandoned library thing, and then we get a Pawniard egg, which we decide to add to the tame. We name it King because it evolves into King Gambit. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna modify the game so that we can get King Gambit in the game. Our Skidoo evolves into a Go-Goat, and our pretty sure our Blaziken, yeah, our Combusken evolves into a Blaziken here. Pretty cool stuff, so we decided to buff our team. If you guys don't know how I did it, I used a common candy, so I decreased the level back down into 35 so I can get it to listen to me. I then defeat Corey, and Corey and Heather have a huge fight about how Heather hasn't heard much of her mother, and Corey keeps using her mother as an excuse to safeguard Heather. Heather then disappears and Corey decides to go to the Barrel Blitz. He decides to make release all his Pokemon, and then tells us the whole story about her mother and how he was coaxed into joining Team Meteor. He then goes to the edge of the bridge and then commits suicide by jumping down. Fern, this asshole, comes here and decides to be super insensitive, which is pretty sad.